Hello everyone, welcome back to the new episode of our tutorial series on blood bank management system. In the previous episode, we have successfully created data access layer for our user module where we created methods to insert, update and delete, and in this episode we will add actual functionality to add, update and delete users. So without further ado, let's move to our tutorial. Let's open our project. This is our project, which is blood bank management system. I'll open the solution file of our project by double clicking on blood bank management system.solution file, and the project will open on Visual Studio IDE. So this was our user data access layer, user DAL, that we created in previous episode. And in this episode we'll add actual functionality. So let's open our users form. So I'll just click on Solution Explorer and let's go to UI, and here I will open form users, frm users.cs. So we will add functionality to add, update and delete users from this manage users form. So let's create a button click event by double clicking on add button. So I'll double click on add button, and it has created a button add click event, and here we'll write the code to insert new users for our blood bank management system. And in order to add that functionality, we'll be using users BLL and users DAL. So let's create an object of our user BLL and user DAL. So create object of user BLL and user DAL. So user BLL u is equals to new user BLL, and don't worry about the error, just hover over the error and click on show potential fixes and click on the first option, which is using blood bank management system.bll, and another one is user DAL. DAL is equals to new user DAL, and hover over the error, click on show potential fixes and select the first one, which is using blood bank management system.dal. So that's it. Now we will add the code in our button add click event here. So the first step is to step 1 is to get the values from UI, which is this form. We need to get the values from all of these text boxes except user ID. So we will use our user BLL to get the value from form and store it for temporarily. So u dot first name or full name is equals to txt full name dot text, and then email. So u dot email is equals to txt email dot text, and then u dot username is equals to txt username dot text. Similarly for password as well. So u dot password is equals to txt password dot text, and then u dot contact is equals to txt contact dot text, and then u dot address is equals to txt address. Beside this, txt address dot text, and beside this we also need to pass other values as well. Let's check our database. So I'll go to Server Explorer and I will open our database, which is blood bank management system. So just expand it, expand tables and expand TBL users. So we have username, user ID will be auto generated, so we don't need to pass the value for user ID. So we have passed the value for username, email, password, full name, contact, address. Up to address we have passed the value, but we have not passed the value for added date and image name, so let's work on that. So added date is equals to date time dot now. We will set current date and time. That's it. And then the last one is image name. For now we will not select image. In the next episode we will add actual functionality to upload the image. So for now we will add a dummy value. For that I'll create a string, global string variable. So string image name is equals to no image dot jpg. Later we will create an image name called noimage.jpg and upload in our resources or images folder. So just give the name of the image name variable as noimage.jpg. There won't be any white spaces or blank. Just give no dash image or join no image in a single word, and .jpg will be the extension of our image. So u.image name is equals to image name. That's it. We have successfully obtained, or we have successfully get the values from our UI and shipped those values in our user BLL. Now the second step is to add these values into our database. For that we will create a boolean variable so that we can check whether the data were inserted successfully or not. So step 2, adding the values from UI to the database. So first step is to create a boolean variable to check whether the data is inserted successfully or not. So bool success is equals to, we'll use data user DAL. So the object of our user DAL is DAL. So DAL dot insert, and we need to pass the value here. So we'll pass our BLL, which is u, object of user BLL, which is u, and it will pass all the values in our insert method. So that's it. Now step 3 is to check whether the data is inserted successfully or not. So let's check it out. If success is equals to true, then data or user added successfully. So when the user is added successfully, we need to display the success message. So message box dot show, and we will type the message here: new user added successfully, and else fail to add user. So we'll also display message for failure. So message box dot show fail to add new user. That's it. Let's save it by pressing Ctrl and yes, and let's check out whether the add user functionality works or not. So I'll just run this application by clicking on start, and then let's go to our user module. So I'll just click on users menu, and here is our manage users form. So we do not need to pass the user ID, so let's give the first name, which will be Vijay Thapa, and email ID will be gmail.com or something, and username will be Vijay Thapa, password will be hello admin for now. And by the way, we need to make it invisible, so we'll do this later. And contact will be something, and address will be Kathmandu, Nepal, and let's click on add button. So we failed to add the connection string, or there is problem in our database connection, so let's solve it. So I'll just click on OK, and fail to add new user, that's okay. So let's close this application and solve the error. So we have problem in our database connection, so let's go to user DAL, and here I have forgot to pass the connection string that we created in the top. We need to pass this connection string, which is my connection string, in our database connection, which is SQL connection. So let's copy this and paste it in our SQL connection everywhere in all of our methods like select, insert, update, and delete. So I'll just place it inside SQL connection. Similarly, let's go to our insert method and paste it inside SQL connection. Similarly, let's go to our update method and paste it here as well. And we'll also need to paste in our delete method. So I'll go to delete method and paste it inside our SQL connection. So I'll just paste it by pressing Ctrl and V, and let's save it, Ctrl and S to save, and let's start our application once again. So I'll go to users module, let's fill in the details, and email will be gmail.com, username Thapa, password hello admin, and contact will be something, and address will be Nepal, and let's click on add button. So user has been added successfully. So we have successfully added the functionality to add new user. So let's click on OK, and now I need to make few changes, like we do not want to show this password, so I'll just close this application, and let's stop our application, and let's go to our form, which is form users, and select the text box for our password, and let's go to properties. Here we need to look for password character. So here I'll give X as a password character, password char property, and let's save it by pressing Ctrl and S. Let's run our application once again, and let's check it out whether it displays our password or not. Now it's not displaying our password, it just shows X. And let's once again fill all the details. Uday, email hello@gmail.com, and username will be Uday, contact will be something, and address will be Kathmandu. And let's click on add button. So user is successfully creating, but we need to display those user in our data grid view as soon as the users is created, and we also need to clear this text field so that we can add next user. So let's add those functionality. Now I'll close this application, close this, and to display the users in our data grid view, after the users is added, we need to go to our button add click event, and after the user is added successfully, we need to display the user in data grid view. So let's create a data table first. So data table dt is equals to dal dot select. So here we will just get the data from a database using user dal and select method inside the user DAL, and the data obtained from database will be saved in our data table for temporarily, and then we need to display that data into our data grid view. So dgv users dot data source is equals to dt. That's it. It will display our data from data table to data grid view. And similarly, we also need to clear the text boxes as well. For that, I'll create a method. So I'll go to the bottom, and here method or function to clear text boxes, method or function to clear text boxes. So public void and clear, and we'll add the code to clear all the text boxes. So first one is txt full name dot text is equals to blank, and then txt email dot text is equals to blank, and then txt username dot text is equals to blank, and then txt contact dot text is equals to blank, and then txt address dot text is equals to blank. And let's check out for others. So we have full name, email, username, password, contact and address. So I missed a password, so txt password dot text is equals to blank. So that's it. Let's save it by pressing Ctrl and S, and then we need to call this function in our add user functionality after the user is added successfully. So here clear text boxes, so I'll just call this function here, so clear, and this will clear our text boxes. So let's save it by pressing Ctrl and S, and let's run our application. Go to users and full name is Thapa at gmail.com, and then Thapa, and password something, and contact will be something, not later but number, and he will be in Kathmandu, Nepal as well. And let's click on add button. So user is successfully added, so let's click on OK. So we have displayed all the users in our data grid view, and the text boxes is clear as well. So we have successfully added the functionality to add the users. Now we need to add the functionality to update the user as well. So in order to update the user, first we need to get the value of the user in our text boxes. For that, we need to create a row header click event. So let's close this, let's close this, and let's stop our application. Let's go to our form users, and let's select the data grid view, and here we need to add an event. So let's go to properties and click on this thunder icon to create an event. So I'll just select row header mouse click event, just scroll down and search for row header mouse click event. So row header mouse click, here it is. So just double click on this row header mouse click event, and it will create an event. So this is the row header mouse click event. So the first step is to find out which row is clicked. So find the row index of the row clicked on users data view. For that, we will create an integer variable row index is equals to e dot row index. This will give the index of the row clicked, and then we need to display the respective text or respective value in our respective text boxes. So txt user id will be user id dot text will be dgv users dot rows, and then row index sales, and value of the first column in our database will is always 0, so it will get the, so this 0 will get the first data of the first column in our database, which is user id, and then dot value dot to string, and we need to pass that value into a string format. So that's it. And the second one will be, let's check it out in our database. So the first one is user id, and the second one is username, and the third one is email and the password. So let's pass the value for username. So txt username dot text is equals dgv users dot rows, and then row index dot cell. So the second cell number will be 1, and value dot to string, and then let's pass for email, txt email dot text is equals to dgv users dot rows, and then row index dot cells 2 dot value dot to string, and then txt password dot text is equals to dgv users dot rows row index dot cells, and cell number will be third dot value dot to string, and then what do we have after password? We have full name and then contact. So txt full name dot text is equals to dgv user dot rows, and then row index dot cells, cell number will be 4 dot value dot to string, and then contact txt contact dot text is equals to dgv users dot rows, and then row index dot cells 5 dot value dot to string, and what do we have after that? Txt contact and then address. So txt address dot text is equals to dgv users dot rows row index dot cells, and number is 6 dot value dot to, and then parentheses close. That's it. And the last one will be txt, sorry, we don't have image, and we also need to pass the value for image name. So image name will be dgv users dot rows, and then row index dot cells, this will be 7 dot value dot to string. So that's it. Now let's check it out whether the value will be displayed in our text boxes or not whenever we click on the row header of our data grid view. So first of all, I will save it by pressing Ctrl and S, and then let's start our application. Let's go to users module, and I forgot to load the data grid view when the form is loaded, so let's add that functionality. Whenever the form is loaded, we also need to load the details of the users in data grid view. So let's close this application and add that functionality first. So I'll just stop this application, go to form users, and in this form just double click on the blank space to create a form load event. So I'll just double click on the form and it will create a form load event, form users underscore load. So here we will need to display the users in data grid view when the form is loaded. So data table dt is equals to dal dot select. We do not need to pass anything, and then dgv users dot data source is equals to dt. So that's it. This will get the users from database and store it in data table, and from data table we will pass the value to our data grid view. So let's save it by pressing Ctrl and S, and let's click on start button to start our application, and let's go to users module, and the user is displayed successfully. Now let's click on the header. This section, this first column is a row header, so let's click on that row header, and the details in text boxes is showing perfectly as we want it. And let's select the number 2, and respective details are shown in text boxes. So this is what we needed. And when the detail is shown in this form or these text boxes, we must be able to change these values and save it in our database. So let's add that functionality to make the changes and save it in our database. So let's close it for now. Let's close it and add the functionality to update the users. So we have successfully displayed the details in text boxes. Now we need to add a functionality to update those details. So I'll just create a button click event for update. So double click on this update button, and here the first step is to get the values from UI. It is similar to the button add click event, similar to this, but we have not obtained the value for our user ID in button add click event, but in button update click event we will get the value for our user ID as well. So u.user ID is equals to txt user ID dot text, but it will display an error because user ID is of integer data type and the value obtained from text box is of string data type. So we need to convert this value from string to integer data type. So I'll just delete it, and then int dot parse txt user ID dot text. So this will convert our value from string to integer data type, and then u dot full name is equals to txt full name dot text, and then u dot email txt email dot text, and then u dot username is equals to txt username dot text, and then u dot password is equals to txt password dot text, and then u dot contact is equals to txt contact dot text, and then u dot address is equal to txt address dot text, and then u dot added date is equals to date time dot now, and the last one u dot image name will be image name. So that's it. Now we need to create a step 2 is create a boolean variable to check whether the data is updated successfully successfully or not. So bool success is equals to DAL dot update, and we need to pass value which is user BLLU, and that's it. And let's check whether the data is updated or not. So if success is equals to true, then data updated successfully, and will display the message which is message box dot show user updated successfully. And we need to refresh the data grid view as well. So refresh refresh data grid view. So data table dt is equals to dal dot select, and then dgv users dot data source is equals to dt. After that, we also need to clear the text boxes. So we'll call the clear function. So that's it. Now save it by pressing Ctrl and S, and let's check it out whether this update functionality works or not. So I'll just click on start and users, and to update the user we need to select the user. So this is user 2, and this is not changeable because user ID will remain constant, it won't be changed. And let's add here detail, let's make some changes. Hello Uday and Uday Ali, and let's add something as well, and let's add the contact 999 and Kathmandu, Nepal. And let's click on button update here. So I'll just click on update button, and I think we also forgot to open database connection in our update method, so let's work on that. This time I have forgotten a lot of things, I'm sorry for that. Sometimes these things happen, so we need to be able to read the error and make the changes. We need to understand the error, and one of the must-have skills for a developer is to debug application whenever you have bug. So in our update method I forgot to open a database connection. So before inserting data into database, we need to open the database connection. Here so I'll open the database connection, open database connection. So connection dot open, that's it. I'll save it by pressing Ctrl and S. Now let's run the application and check whether the update functionality works or not. So I'll just click on start button and open our users form, select the user, make changes. Ale, hello Uday, Uday Ale, and changes, and here I'll 999 Kathmandu, Nepal, and let's click on update button. So update, and user updated successfully, and let's check it out whether the user is updated or not. So I'll just click on these two buttons. So the detail is changed successfully. So we have successfully added the functionality to update users as well, and the next functionality is to delete the users. So let's add the functionality as well. So I'll just close this form, and close this form, and let's go to our form and let's create a button click event for our delete button. So I'll just double click on this delete button. So double click on delete button, and it will create a button delete click event. So here the first step is to get the user ID from text box to delete the user. So u dot user id is equals to int dot parse. We need to parse because the value obtained from text box is of string data type, but user id is a integer data type. So int dot parse and then txt user id dot text. So that's it. And to delete the user, we do not need to obtain all the values from our text boxes. We only need value from our user id. So that's it. Now step 2 is to create the boolean value to check whether the user deleted or not. So bool success is equals to DAL dot delete, and we need to pass the value which is u, and that's it. And let's check it out. Let's check whether the user is deleted or not. So if success is equals to true, then user deleted successfully, and we need to display a message. So message box dot show user deleted successfully, and then we need to refresh data grid view. So data table dt is equals to dal dot select, and then dgv users dot data source is equals to dt. After that, we need to clear the text boxes. For this, I'll just call the clear function. So that's it. Let's save it by pressing Ctrl and S, and let's run our application to check whether the delete functionality works or not. So I'll just go to users and I'll select one of the users. So I'll select the first one, which is Vijay Thapa, and after the user is selected, we can delete the user. So let's click on delete button. Here also I forgot to open the database connection, so I have made a lot of errors this time. So let's go to user DL and go to delete, and here before deleting the user we need to open the database connection. So connection dot open. Let's save it by pressing Ctrl and S, and let's run our application. Go to users and select one of the user and click on delete to delete. I think I also missed the name of the table in our SQL query, which is TBL users instead of TB users. So let's make that change as well. So here I forgot L here, so it's TBL users, not TB users. So let's save it, run our application, users, and select the user and click on delete. So user deleted successfully. Let's click on OK, and user is removed from the data grid view, and text box is cleared, but user ID is remaining, so we need to clear that as well. So let's go to our clear function in our frm users.cs. So here is our clear function, and here we will remove the text from text user id text box. So txt user id dot text is equals to blank. So it will clear the user id text box as well. So let's check it out. I'll start and users, and then select another user, and let's delete by clicking on delete button. The user deleted successfully, so all of the text boxes is cleared, and user also deleted from the data grid view. And the last one is the clear button. So whenever I click on this clear button, all of these text boxes should be cleared. So let's add that functionality. I'll close this form, and close this form. Let's go to our users form, and here I'll click a button click event for our clear button. So I'll just double click on this clear button, and here all we need to do is call the user function. So clear, and that's it. So this will clear all the text boxes. If you haven't made this clear function, then we have to type all this code in all of the click event, like after user is added, after the user is updated, and user is deleted. But we wrote the code once and call it everywhere. It reduced number of lines of codes, and it also made our code clear. So that's it. Let's save it by pressing Ctrl and S. Let's start our application, and let's check whether the clear button works or not. So I'll just select the user and press on clear button. So the user is cleared successfully. So this is it, guys. We have successfully added a functionality to add, update, and delete users for our blood bank management system. And in the next episode, I'll show you the functionality to upload the profile picture of the user. So thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you have any confusion related to this video, then don't forget to comment. I reply as soon as possible. So see you soon. Bye bye.